Greetings, Willow here again. Today I want to talk on the topic of self-care. Self-care doesn't mean just going to the spa and getting your nails done and getting a massage. It has a lot more to do with taking care of yourself than just treating yourself once in a while. That's part of it, it's just not all of it. So the reason I wanted to talk about self-care is today I took a self-care day. I've been trying to do a little bit for myself every single day, and I wanted to share that with you so that maybe you can start to apply it to your own life and find a lot less stressful living situation. So the first thing that we want to look at are what are the stressors in our life. What makes us freak out, get stressed, have anxiety, okay? And we need to take a look at each one and how can we change it or eliminate it so that we have less stress in our life. We're always going to have some, but if we can be more organized or have less of those stressors, we will feel much better, much more organized, and we can really focus more on our spiritual side rather than the mundane. So we remove things like toxic relationships, toxic work environments. And yes, if that means you have to look for a different job, you need to look for a different job. You can't just stay in a bad environment. Maybe you're not making enough money and it's stressing you out because you're always behind. Maybe you are in a bad situation where you're not getting along with coworkers. There are many things that can create a negative situation or a toxic situation. So if it's a personal relationship, you need to look at that. You may need to part ways with a certain individual because they bring you down all the time and it stresses you out, or you always argue with them. That is not a good relationship, whether it's a love relationship, friend, or family. Even family, sometimes we just need to distance ourselves from people. It is important that you're taking care of yourself, because if you do, you'll be better for everybody else around you too. So relationships will be the number one thing to look at in your life. If there's one that's stressing you out and causing some issues, you're going to need to distance yourself from that. It may not be forever, but it may be until you get that under control. The next thing we look at are those toxic work environments. Now, we may have a boss that is just ridiculously hard to deal with, or maybe we're just in a really stressful kind of career path. I'm not telling you have to change your career path, but how can you make it more bearable? Maybe you are in the medical field and you love helping people, but maybe you need to find a different facility to work at. That could be it. If you are a doctor and you have your own practice, maybe you need to look at the staff that works for you. Is somebody causing some stress in that environment? These are things that we can actually take control of. So if you don't like who you work with, you go find some other job. I mean, and yes, there are other jobs out there, and it might be a little, time to get a new one, but don't leave until you find one. But in the meantime, what could you do to de-stress that situation? Maybe it's just better that you try to find opposite ends of the work environment to work in, or maybe get transferred to a different department. Maybe you just need to try to avoid having any communication with that person if that's possible. The other thing that we run into is if we're not making enough money, it creates more stress in our life. Well, abundance does not come from one source of income. Abundance and prosperity comes from multiple sources of income. So if you have a job, that's awesome. But what could you do on the side that might be fun, that you could make money doing that as well? You could take up a hobby that could pay you money. I've met a lot of people now who are driving Uber and have a full-time job, but it brings in the extra that they're looking for. But what if you are really good at making a craft? I make dolls and jewelry and things like that. If you're really good at something, try to take something like that. Maybe you want to open an Etsy shop. Maybe you want to take weekends and go to different conventions to sell your products. But these are different things that you could bring in more money with, and it would take some stress away. Now, the other thing that I always realized when I was younger, I would avoid the bills because I never made enough money. I was always scraping by. Trying to raise 4 kids was not easy when I was young. And so I stopped answering the phone. Well, at least now we can see who's calling us. But trying to avoid a bill collector. I mean, it can be very stressful, and I know everybody does it. But I learned after a while that it would be better to talk to them. It would be better. They're not trying to hurt you, but if you owe money, let's try to work it out. So maybe you could lower the payment. There are consolidation type of companies that'll help you put all of your bills in one, and they'll manage it for you until you get out of that stress level of too much money going out. But there are ways that you can handle it to remove stress from your life. So try some of those little tips. The other thing is budget. Write out your budget. Write out, where is your money going? That was also something I kind of was always afraid to do. If I didn't know where it was going, it would just be more chaotic. So I finally started making a budget, going, oh, well, I paid this much for this and this much for that. And now I know how much I need to make every single week to cover these bills. And then I could put it on a schedule so it wasn't so overwhelming for me. So those are some ideas that you might try. Do things that you enjoy to make the extra money. Get out of toxic relationships or avoid them for the time being. Change your work environment. Try to get a transfer to another department or a different location. Find a different job entirely. Those are some suggestions. Now, the other thing is, what about our living situations? Sometimes we are just living beyond our means, and we may need to scale it back, maybe find a smaller home, maybe we don't like who we live with, we may need to change that relationship. Can't get rid of your kids. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way, guys. But if you are an adult and maybe you're in a shared living kind of situation with roommates, maybe roommates just aren't good for you. Maybe you do need to maybe find a small studio apartment that you could afford, maybe in a different part of town, where you don't have to share a space with somebody if it's too stressful. These are things that you can make changes in your life with that can help de-stress. Now, the other thing, let's talk about some good stuff. What else can you do for self-care? Meditation, yoga, just going out and getting out of the house and going for a walk. Little things like that is self-care. It helps us clear our mind and clear the clutter. The other thing that I like to do is I like shopping, but sometimes if you don't have the money to shop, maybe you just need to go to the mall and do window shopping, and you could make a list of things that you want to set as a goal that you could achieve. You know, maybe you want that special new coat or that special dress or some new boots or whatever it is, and you find them. Now you know how much they cost. Now you can go and you can sit down and you can make that goal of how you're going to bring that in or bring it to you. How can you manifest it? So there are multiple things that we can do to help ourselves and love ourselves more. Like I tell everybody, I buy myself flowers once a week. I love flowers. Sometimes I put them in my reading room. Sometimes I put them on my altar for my cat Kakarot. This week I bought some beautiful, colorful, different colors of flowers, and I put them on his altar because to me that brought me joy. He always brought me joy, and I wanted that happiness through the flowers to reflect his joy. Now that he is on the other side of the Rainbow Bridge. But it still made me happy to buy the flowers. I spent like $3. They were 50% off. I'll buy them, right? But the little things, do things for yourself. Sit down for a few minutes if you've had a hectic day and make yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and just breathe. Breathing is amazing. We forget to breathe a lot, and so that builds up our stress too. If you're not breathing, your solar plexus is getting all clogged up, and that's just going to cause you more stress. And stress is what we try to eliminate when we say self-care. So let's go back on this. We are going to eliminate toxic relationships, toxic work environments. We're going to stop overspending. So see what you can cut back on, and maybe you can reorganize. If you are always so stressed that you don't even take time to go to the grocery store and you go out to eat all the time, that's not going to help your body either. And that's just more stress because you're spending more money going out to eat. So instead, why not just sit down and make some menus? This is what I'd like to have each day. This is what I'd like to have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. These are things that can bring down some stress. Organizing your life is key to self-care. So you organize it by lowering the money going out. You get rid of the stressors that are hitting you and creating anxiety and stress. But you've got to take care of yourself, and then once in a while you can treat yourself to the spa day. But like I said, that's just a small little portion of what self-care is. So sometimes you may need to have a personal reading or a life coaching session, and I'm here for that. You can find my website at willowlamashant.com. If you need a personal reading, if you need a clearing or a healing, Reiki is a wonderful way to de-stress. And it does help heal us mind, body, and spirit. So I do those sessions as well. And now I can do them also through a FaceTime reading. So there are different things that I offer that might help you with your stress and help you get more self-care in. But you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget that. The links are all down below. Text me if you ever have a question. You'll find my information on my website. And until next time, be blessed.